I sat quietly in Eliza's office, holding the letter in my trembling hands. My mother's handwriting danced before my eyes, but I could barely see the words through my tears. I had read it over and over again, but each time it still felt like I was hearing her voice for the first time since she passed. Her final message to me read, "My dearest Samara, if you're reading this, it means Frank has remarried and chosen to continue living in our home without following the terms of the trust. I wish I could say I'm surprised, but deep down I always knew his love for the house was about control, not care. What Frank doesn't know, and what I never told anyone, is that most of the money used to buy and restore the house didn't come from my salary. It came from the inheritance I received from my grandmother. That money came with a condition: the property must stay within the bloodline. Frank has no legal right to the house beyond the temporary rights I granted him in the trust, and those rights are void if he disrespects the terms. I've instructed Eliza to help you. She knows what to do. This house is your legacy. It belongs to you, not just because of me, but because of the women who came before us. Stand strong, my brave girl. You are stronger than you realize. All my love. Mom." When I finally looked up from the letter, Eliza was watching me gently, giving me the space I needed. She didn't speak until I did. "This changes everything, doesn't it?" I asked, my voice shaky but sure. Eliza gave a slow, firm nod. "Yes, your father has absolutely no claim to the property now, not a single legal leg to stand on." That day, everything shifted. With the truth now in front of us, my mother's letter, the details of the inheritance, and the broken terms of the trust, we prepared a new legal strategy. We weren't just enforcing the trust anymore. We were ending my father's access to the home entirely. He had crossed too many lines, refusing to honor the trust, trying to take control, creating a hostile environment, getting remarried while staying in the house, and now even attempting to challenge my ownership. Eliza went over the paperwork with precision. "The restraining order is now active," she said. "They won't be allowed on the property when they return. A sheriff will serve them an eviction notice, and a court hearing will be scheduled to make everything permanent." I nodded slowly. My heart was heavy, but steady. "What's the timeline?" "The emergency order is good for 30 days, she explained. "The court hearing is in the 3rd week. That gives them time to find another place to stay, and it gives us time to prepare for any tricks they might try." As I drove home, I kept thinking about all the small details. What would happen next? Most of the furniture in the house belonged to my mom, and we had documents to prove it. But over the years, Frank and Vanessa had brought in their own things, and Cassie had filled her room with personal items too. I knew they'd need to collect their belongings. I also knew it couldn't be done casually or on their terms. Everything would need to be watched, monitored, and supervised. But the part that weighed heaviest on me was Cassie. She was just 16. She hadn't asked for any of this, even though we were never close. She had always seemed like she was just trying to survive the chaos too. I decided then that I would pack up Cassie's room myself. I'd be careful with her things, respectful. She didn't deserve to be caught in the middle of something so messy and painful. 2 days before they were scheduled to return, I got a phone call from a Philadelphia number I didn't recognize. I hesitated for a second, then answered. "Hello? Is this Samara Wells?" a young, nervous voice asked. "Yes, who's calling?" "It's Cassie." She sounded quiet, serious. "I need to talk to you. It's important." I blinked in surprise. "Aren't you still in the Bahamas with your mom and my dad?" "I am. I'm using the hotel phone." I didn't want them to hear me. She paused, and I could feel how tense she was, even through the line. "I overheard them last night. They were arguing, about the house, and about you." My heart clenched. "What did they say?" "Frank told Mom that their lawyer said they might be able to take the house if they can prove you're mentally unstable. Mom said maybe they could plant something in your room when we get back, to make it seem like you're dangerous." Cassie's voice dropped even lower. "I don't know what they're planning, but it didn't sound like they were bluffing. It sounded serious." I felt like the floor had dropped out beneath me. They were going to try to frame me, fake something to make it seem like I was a threat, so they could take what wasn't theirs to begin with. "Thank you for telling me this, Cassie," I said gently. "That was really brave." There was a long pause. It didn't feel right. "And I heard them talking about the house too, about how it's actually yours. Is that true?" "Yes," I said simply. "My mother left it to me in a trust. She made it very clear." Another long silence. "They never told me that," Cassie finally said. Mom always said it was Frank's house and you were just living there until you figured your life out. I'm sorry they kept that from you, I said softly. She hesitated, then added, I'm sorry for how they've treated you. Her words caught me off guard. I didn't expect her to care, but hearing them brought tears to my eyes. It's not your fault, Cassie. I know you've been stuck in the middle. I should go before they realize I'm gone. I just wanted you to know. As soon as the call ended, I called Eliza and repeated everything Cassie had told me. This confirms everything we suspected, she said, her voice tight with concern. If they're planning to fabricate evidence, we need to modify the restraining order immediately. They can't be allowed inside the house again, not even to pack. She told me she'd contact the court to update the order and request a court-appointed supervisor to oversee any belongings being collected. No more chances, no more risks. But one thought still gnawed at me. What about Cassie? She's still just a kid. We can include special provisions for her, Eliza said. We'll make sure her things are delivered safely, maybe arrange a neutral pickup location, whatever it takes to protect her. As we finished talking, my phone rang again. This time, it was my father. I hesitated, but picked up. Samara, he said warmly, too warmly. Vanessa and I have been thinking about our last conversation. We feel terrible about how we left things. We want to sit down and talk, like a family. Maybe when we get back, we can all come to an agreement that works for everyone. His words were like honey, smooth and sticky. I knew now, beyond a doubt, that Cassie had been telling the truth. This sudden kindness wasn't real, it was part of their plan. I forced a smile into my voice. That sounds fair. We definitely have a lot to talk about. The moment the call ended, I turned to Eliza. They're planning something for when they get back, something specific. She gave me a look filled with quiet resolve. Let them try. We'll be ready. You're just a freeloader pretending this house is yours, Vanessa snapped, her voice sharp as glass as she yanked her designer suitcase toward the front door. She didn't even glance back at me as she added with a smirk, maybe when we get back, you'll have finally figured out how to find your own place. My father, standing behind her, gave a small nod. He didn't say much, but what little he did say was enough to sting. We've been more than generous letting you stay here without paying rent. Most parents would have kicked their adult kids out by now. I stood silently in the kitchen doorway, my hands wrapped around a mug of coffee that had long since gone cold. My fingers trembled slightly, though I tried to keep my face still. This is my house, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Mom left it to me, you both know that. Vanessa rolled her eyes dramatically, as if she'd heard the most ridiculous thing in the world. Here we go again with that little fantasy. Frank, tell her. My dad's jaw clenched, and he looked anywhere but at me. Your mother wanted us to live here as a family, not for you to treat the rest of us like unwelcome guests. I stepped forward a little, heart pounding. Legally, I'm still. Legally what? He cut in sharply. You think this place is yours because of a piece of paper? He grabbed the handle of his suitcase and glanced at the clock. We're going to miss our flight. Cassie's already in the car waiting. And just like that, they were gone. The front door slammed behind them with a heavy finality, leaving me alone in the quiet house, the same house my mother had poured her soul into before cancer took her from us 5 years ago. My name is Samara Wells. I'm 24 years old, and despite what my father and his wife think, this house is mine. My mother made sure of that before she died. She placed it in a legal trust, naming me as the sole beneficiary. It wasn't just a house, it was her legacy, her life's work. All I've ever wanted was for that to be respected. But my father, Frank, seems to have forgotten, or chosen to ignore, everything she put in place. And Vanessa, my stepmother of just 3 years, has treated me like a squatter in my own home since the day she moved in. I walked to the large bay window, the one my mother had lovingly restored, and watched as their car pulled out of the driveway. My 16-year-old stepsister Cassie sat in the back seat, staring at her phone, completely detached from the tension they'd just left behind. They were headed off to the Bahamas for 10 days, a vacation I wasn't invited to, a family trip I wasn't considered part of. As their car disappeared down the street, a wave of hurt rolled through me, followed quickly by a quiet rage. I had spent the last few years biting my tongue, convincing myself that Mom would have wanted me to keep the peace, that she'd want us to try to be a family, even if she was no longer here. But then my phone buzzed, a new email. It was from Vanessa, sent to my father, but somehow, she had accidentally copied me in the message. Frank. I've spoken with Harold. He said once we're back from vacation, we can start the process of having Samra legally removed from the house. He doesn't think her claim about Caroline's wishes will hold up in court, especially without the original trust documents. I stared at the screen, my hands going cold. Who was Harold, and what did she mean about not having the original trust documents? Panic bubbled up inside me, but so did something else, determination. They weren't just pushing boundaries anymore, they were plotting to take everything from me. Let me tell you about my mom, Caroline Wells. She wasn't just my mother, she was a brilliant architectural historian who spent her life restoring old homes in Philadelphia. This house, a gorgeous Queen and Victorian built in 1887, was her passion project. She bought it when I was just 7. Back then, it was falling apart, but she saw what it could be. I remember the sounds of saws and hammers, the smell of fresh paint and wood stain, the sparkle in her eyes when she uncovered a hidden detail in the woodwork or discovered an original fireplace beneath layers of drywall. Every inch of this home has her fingerprint on it. My dad never shared that passion. He was a numbers guy, an accountant who saw the house as a money pit. He tolerated it, mostly for my sake. Their marriage was shaky even before her diagnosis, but when she got sick, really sick, everything changed. I was 19 when we found out the cancer was terminal. I was in college then, studying architectural preservation, trying to follow in her footsteps. Even while she was undergoing treatment, she made time to plan. She set up a trust for the house, talked to lawyers, and made her wishes crystal clear. "This will be yours one day," she told me, her frail hand tracing the staircase railing she had restored with her own hands. "Your father can stay here as long as he needs to, but the house belongs to you. Promise me you'll take care of it." And I did. I promised her with all my heart. But after she died, my father moved on faster than I could have imagined. Within a year, he was dating Vanessa. 6 months later, she and Cassie were living here, walking through the halls like they owned the place, changing things my mother had carefully chosen, adding ugly modern pieces that clashed with the home's history. I tried to be patient. I was still grieving, still in school, and just wanted some version of a family again. Vanessa pretended to be friendly at first, but it always felt forced. Cassie stayed in her room or on her phone, barely acknowledging me. Slowly, everything started to shift. Dad began referring to Mom's antiques as junk. He wanted to rip out the wallpaper she had spent weeks researching. He even suggested knocking down a wall in the parlor to make more space. Every time I pushed back, he acted like I was being selfish. "Your mother is gone, Samra," he would say. "You need to let go and move on." But how could I? This house was her. It was all I had left. Now I'm finished with school, working for a local historic preservation society. I could have moved out by now. I could have started over somewhere else. But this house is a promise I made, a gift from my mother I refused to give up. Leaving would feel like letting her be erased, like letting them win. So I stayed. I endured the cold shoulders, the cutting remarks, the way they made me feel like a guest in my own home. But now I see it clearly. Vanessa and my father don't just want me out. They want to erase everything my mother stood for, everything she gave me. And I won't let them.